Hey Warriors fans, welcome into another week of college football talk. It's our week 5 preview already. Scott Warras and the head coach Eric Treske as the Warriors look to go 3-0 and pull off an upset over the 20th ranked Aurora Spartans. Coach, let's talk quickly for just a couple of moments. I know you've long since moved on, but let's just talk a little bit about last Saturday night up at Lakeland, 33-31. It was a thriller. The ebbs and flows of that game, a very resilient performance by your team to win on the road, batting down a 2-point conversion with under 2 minutes to go to seal the deal after you got the onside kick. A lot of drama,
a lot of excitement. My heart is still recovering a little bit. Really proud of how we played, how we handled, like you said, the momentum shifts and swings. There were certainly moments where I felt like as a team we could have taken it maybe another step in advance to lead and some of those things. But it's a credit to that Lakeland team, too. They're a tough team, resilient, that their quarterback can make big plays at any moment. Very slippery, tough guy to tackle. The coolest moment to me, it's kind of a unique one. We went into half with a small lead, and there was no contentment. It wasn't like, all right, we're here. It was like, we know we got more, right? Especially, I would say, our senior captains and leaders. I look at like Savon Goodwin, Brandon Ansek, Connor Martin. And it wasn't a sense of panic or anger or any of those things, but it was just like, hey, let's tighten this up because we got more we want to do. And those kids, everyone just played so hard for each other. It was a special one.
We've talked all season, in the preseason, about the veteran nature of this team this year, and younger team, good chance they might fold in that one, right?
Yep.
Not only based on the sentiment you heard at halftime, but just, again, being able to be so resilient and come back every time Lakeland throws a punch, you guys punch back. Younger, more inexperienced teams may not do that.
Yeah, I think with experience comes confidence. Mm-hmm. Right, and you're sure in who you are, you're sure in the preparation that you put into it. We've got a senior group that's, they've literally been, from the beginning of how we've tried to build our program, and those guys have been through some tough moments, and so they're not going to let, one big play derail them from what they're trying to achieve, and really from being who they are, which is selfless teammates, guys who are going to lift up their brothers next to them.
Well, one of those veterans, one of those seniors is your kicker. We've talked about Arnulfo Ortega several times already this season, and a couple of made field goals. The last one, in essence, was the game winner. You win by 2. And he was the NAC Special Teams Player of the Week, and we featured him and talked with him earlier in the week in conjunction with that award. And what a great young man to talk to, level-headed, calm demeanor, which is exactly what you want in that position, absolutely. Obviously. But He came through again on Saturday.
He did. He's like we've talked about in the past, he's an incredible weapon for our program. He's probably one of the funnier guys on the team, brings good energy, good life to the team. And I think the coolest thing is for Arnulfo to succeed, there needs to be a unit that's there to support him. Elijah Chevy, Nate Hidalgo, that unit, right, that snap to kick unit's been phenomenal. And the guys up front have really improved. A year ago, that was a weakness of ours in the beginning of the season. Arnulfo is a great weapon, but if we had 2 to 3 block kicks early in the year last year. And so for those guys to take that job serious, they got to see how important that is at the end of that game.
Warrior of the Week is an award that I know you and the coaching staff always bestow. Who was this year's Warrior, I should say this past week's Warrior of the Week?
This week's Warrior was Drew Mears. Drew's had a very good season across the board. He's played a more prominent role as a receiver for us, and has also been our team's punter. And he excelled in both areas on Saturday. One of the things that Lakeland did was, they saw Emmett. It's no shock to anybody. Emmett Hawkins has been a pretty good threat for us. And so they did some things to try to take Emmett away. And my belief and thinking is always, you can't have it both ways. If you want to take Emmett away, somebody else is going to attack you. And that was Drew. It was Drew's night. Did a great job. Had about 100 yards receiving. Had another amazing catch that got taken away from him. But outside of that, man, it was just a really special night for him, and I think for our offense as a whole, is now we're starting to build some confidence and trust in a unit of players, not just 1 or 2. So
right, 7 catches, like you said, 98 yards, both career highs for him, and 3 of those 7 catches came on what was the game-winning drive for you guys. So
Yep.
you went to him in crunch time, and he delivered.
He did. He did. Absolutely.
The dynamic between Drew Mears and Bryce Barbie, and where is that in terms of the chemistry being built and what?
They've built some good trust. Drew, I can connect with Drew a little bit. Drew came in as a quarterback for us, and I did the same thing and made that transition to receiver. And he's kind of undergoing a similar transformation. Your first year, you're learning the basics of receiver play. You're learning spacing. Now, being a quarterback, you have some knowledge of those things. But we're starting to see Drew embrace the nuance of the position. There's also an art to playing receiver. And Drew's starting to understand those small subtleties. And it makes it really, really tough when you got a guy like Drew on one side, you got Emmett on the other, Jameel inside, and then a bunch of other guys stepping up, making plays across the board. It's been cool to see Drew thrive.
So you sit here 3-1, more importantly 2-0 in the conference. And I remember when we talked, I guess 5 weeks ago, and we looked the way the schedule laid out. And you spoke about the importance of getting off to a good start and playing well so that once you kind of looked at that Aurora game and that portion of the schedule hits you, the confidence is high. And I imagine, Coach, and I know you'd love to have that Lake Forest one back, but still, things have gone according to script, at least big picture. Fair to say?
I think it's fair to say. I mean, we're happy with where we're at
Sure.
right now. The guys are proud of their effort. We know we have more, in front of us. But for us, I told you, I think in the beginning of the season, for us to go into this Aurora week playing a good opponent, to have an opportunity tomorrow, which I think we have in front of us, we have to go in confident.
Yeah.
And so these past 4 weeks have definitely built a sense of confidence in our program across the board, and it's created some motivation. We're practicing just a little bit different. Everything's just a little bit tighter. Everyone's a little bit more locked in, and we can see. I told the seniors and juniors, the guys that have been here for a while, I said everything that you've been working for, all the times where no one saw us downstairs in the weight room, 6:30, like all those moments. All of it's for this Saturday. It's all for what's right in front of you right now. So we're going to go down swinging. We're going to see how it plays out, and I can't wait to see the guys compete.
Aurora comes in as the 20th ranked team in the country, and you've kind of alluded to it there in that answer. But the psychological element of getting a team ready to play an Aurora in this instance, I am sure that teams that Aurora has played already this year, past years, because of the success they've had, there's a psychological element to it where they arrive and they're already up a touchdown or two because whoever they're playing up here has already kind of psyched themselves out.
Oh, yeah.
So how have you and your staff and maybe your senior leaders used the psychological element in preparation for Aurora, which is so important?
Well, I think the first thing I want to say, it's hats off to Coach Beebe and his program. He's done a great job with that program. And there's a reason people have, there's an intimidation factor when they come in. Now, the key to it is that you can't play last year's Aurora team or 2 years Aurora. I mean, we're playing the 2024 Aurora team. We're playing who we watch on film, the scheme, the personnel, and we're a different Warrior team than when we were there last year. So it's not fair to ourselves to try to use previous years as a gauge. They're a very different team than they were. And so are we. And so we're excited to see where we match up. And we're not going to play a logo. We're going to play the man in front of us.
That's well said. And again, you can disclose as much or as little as you like here on this one. Is matchups that you like, or a matchup, maybe a position, maybe personnel that you like to the point you just made, you feel like we're in a better position, the Warriors are in a better position this year maybe than recent history?
Yeah. Well, I think, number one, I'm excited to see where our defense stacks up. Like we've talked about, that's been the strength of our program. In past years, we struggled to get stops. I think back to even one of my first years coaching against them here, we were able to put up some points and just had a really difficult opportunity to get stops. We're a much different defense than we were then. We got great leadership, so it's going to be a good test for those guys. And then I think offensively, I like where our perimeter group is at. You kind of alluded to it before. Our receiver group, obviously we got the two young running backs and Bryce. Those guys give us a shot against a lot of teams that we play. And their strength, in my opinion, is their defensive line. So it's finding ways to neutralize the D-line and let our guys play and impact the game.
Kickoff will be 1 o'clock on Saturday at Robbie Stadium. It is also the annual Faith and Family Day celebration. What goes into that, Coach? What can fans expect because of it?
Yeah, so there's a few different things. Our vision's always been to be a light to our community, let this football program shine the love of Jesus on other people. So we have a couple of different food trucks and vendors that are joining us. Before the game, Vinny Brim has helped us coordinate. We have some young men and women that with special needs that are going to join us on the field and be a part of warm-ups and be kind of our guests of honor, which would be really special. We have a guest singer who's going to sing God Bless America before the game. Just lots of little small things in addition to what we try to do every week, which is make sure that Jesus is at the center of what we do. And I can't think of a more fitting game to do it, to be honest, than this Aurora team. Because for those of you that don't know, I really respect Coach Beebe does a great job of making his program a ministry. That's one thing that we're both aligned on, is that this is so much bigger than football. It's learning how to take the lessons that we learned from this game, how to be selfless, how to take the gifts that God gave you and use them for other people. And I know Coach really is intentional about that too.
Excellent. As we said, kickoff is 1 o'clock, but get there early, as always. All right, Coach, before we go, time-honored tradition of these little conversations. We play 5 questions. First answer that comes to mind, don't overthink it. Number 1, what former president, dead or alive, would you like to have dinner with?
Lincoln.
What's the first question you would ask him? This is just me following up. This is not one of the 5.
How would you say? How did you stay unwavering? Oh. Like, man, the amount of stress that he had to be under. Yeah, I had to imagine some of it's his faith.
Have you seen the pictures over time of Lincoln, like when he took office and then after the war and things like that?
It's pretty wild.
Oh, amazing.
I mean, every president to some degree, right? But yeah, that was another level.
Number 2, 10 inches of snow or 10 below?
Oh, both sound terrible. I will say snow, I guess, because at least it's not super cold.
Okay. Number 3, what one superpower do you wish you could possess?
We'll go super speed, like the Flash.
Number 4, the better odds of happening, you winning a Grammy for your singing or an Oscar for your acting?
Oh, man. Neither would happen, but if you had to pick one,
the odds.
I'm going to say an Oscar, I guess. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely not my singing voice. You can ask my wife or everyone at church.
Number 5, does that mean you're not in the choir?
I am not in the choir. I did do worship one time, but it was suboptimal. Okay. It was not great, but everyone was with me anyway. So,
Number 5, the one rule change you would want in football is?
In football, man.
If you could wave your magic wand and
I don't know.
This rule is changed in your sport.
You know what? I'm just going to go out there and say it. I think this is not a big rule, but I think we overblow the knee pad rule. The refs go out before every game. If you're not aware, the refs go out and they check, make sure everyone's properly equipped, which I'm all for. Player safety is number 1 in my book. Right. But the big one that they advocate, and it's because the guys always want to try to hide the knee pad, is the guy. If you'll notice, the guys will try to roll their pant up,
right,
so that it's right above their knee. And there's been like an old adage, old school coaches, players, right? We had to wear these big knee pads, and we always make sure they have their knee pads on. I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. A knee pad never saved my knees from nothing, and I know it doesn't protect you from any sort of ligament damage or anything. Like a tiny, thin foam pad is not stopping you from tearing an ACL. So I think there's like this weird fallacy, and I literally will get penalized if my guys don't have their pant leg rolled over with the knee pad on there. Yeah, so
really,
I would say, like, can we get beyond the knee pad thing? Like, there's other things that make this game safer that we could focus on. So
they'll go out and they'll check, huh?
Oh yeah, they check
to a man
every single guy. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And then our guys, as the game goes on, you can look at the pictures. I know they roll them up, so hopefully the refs don't watch us. But yeah, that happens. So there's other things that are just way more egregious, like late hits. There's so many late hits I see on film, whether it's our guy or someone else. Like, that's a little more egregious than a knee pad that won't protect
Shaking
you.
the knee
So,
pad. Wow,
yeah.
that's good.
Soapbox moment. Sorry, guys.
That was the question. That's another reason to get there early. You get there early, fans. You sit in the stands. You can watch the officials
Watch
check knee pads.
Your kids can jump in a bouncy house. It'll be a perfect day. Yep.
Bonus question, and the bonus question all year long tied to 25 years of Warriors football. In light of that great road win at Taylor Field, first time the Warriors had ever won at Taylor Field in Lakeland, I imagine that bus ride back was rather enjoyable.
It was.
Your favorite road trip memory?
Favorite
either
road
as a
trip
coach
memory.
or as a player? I mean, for fans who don't know, the Warriors started their conference affiliation in the MIAA, which is largely a Michigan conference, so there were plenty of trips to Michigan. The NAC's been around, obviously, for over a decade now, at least. So you've had your fair share of trips to Mequon and the Lutheran Bowl rivalry. Anyway, is there a road trip memory that sticks out for you, player, coach, anything like that?
I did. I will say I loved. They didn't always end in a happy bus ride home, but I did love playing in the MIAA. If you're not familiar, it's the oldest college league in the country. There's a lot of tradition and pomp and circumstance. You know, the games are fun. You go to like an Alma or an Albion, they got these huge marching bands. You go to Kalamazoo, and it's a rowdy crowd, you know, tailgating literally like 2 feet from the
end zone,
yeah,
right?
they had many personal insults while I'm sitting there about to return a kick. But those are like memories that you just, you know, it was fun. You embraced it. I think anytime you can be at a place where you're like, man, this school cares about their football program, right? They care about what's going on their campus. It always makes it fun. That's why we love playing at home, because we have a fan group that like that. But yeah, I would say those MIAA days were pretty special.
The history and the tradition of those schools and those programs, I mean, it goes back 100 years in some cases.
Yeah. If I had to pick one game, I'll throw one out there.
Please.
This is as a coach, 2014, Adrian College. We ended up winning, I believe it was like 14-10. We had 2 blocked punts. One of them we scored for a touchdown. The other one led to a scoring drive. I think Reeves might have scored it for us. But that was we hadn't had a lot of MIAA road wins. And so to get that one, that was really instrumental in that team getting a conference championship that year. So
that was a non-conference. You guys went back to play Adrian
in the challenge days.
Yeah, the MIAA NAC challenge games. Yeah, any time.
That was a fun one. It was sweet.
To go and beat an MIAA school just because of the history, whatnot, was special. All right, hopefully some history is made on Saturday at 1 o'clock when the Warriors look to knock off the 20th ranked Aurora Spartans, and Coach Treske will have his crew ready. Thank you, Coach. We'll have the broadcast, by the way, starting at 12:30 Central Time on WLCsports.com. Thank you for watching.